guys make it out there. And also, this is the Discon antenna.
Began stockpiling nuclear weapons in what became an arms race, amassing ever more powerful bombs and the bombers to deliver them. Then, in 1957, the Soviets launched Sputnik. This 184-pound satellite stunned the world, not because it was the world's first artificial satellite, but because it meant the Soviets appeared to have the ability to deliver a nuclear bomb with a missile. Unlike bombers, which took hours to reach their targets, a bomb...
True. We started out our day extremely early in the morning. First off, let me back up a little bit. I'm a little bit confused because, you know, we don't normally do this, but very often, but when we do, we do, you know. But this site is site number 571-7, is part of the 571st Strategic Missile Squadron. There was 2 squadrons, 570th, 571st, each responsible for 9 missiles each. There was 18 missiles in the Tucson area here. It was this site here was also nicknamed the Copper Penny because of the copper mine that's back there, which you'll see as you're walking towards the access portal. When you came in this room, you crossed over a bridge. There's actually a 12-inch space between the floor and the wall all the way around this room. We call it a rattle space. 9 megaton, 9 million tons of TNT warhead that were on the missile, monitored right here. The last row of lights down here would monitor the launch complex itself. So there, you could see if there was fires in the launch duct or anything and put them out. Also, you know, you could close and open doors, do all kinds of things like that. Over here was your communication console right there. Okay, why would we use something so antiquated, something that was used in the 1800s in the weaving industry in England? Well, the reason for that is because you can't run a magnet over the punch paper tape, you can't introduce any kind of viruses in it. The only way you can compromise this tape is to put more holes in it or to cut it, and obviously it wouldn't run if either of those cases were done, and then we wouldn't know it. There's a kitchen, pretty sparse. We call it Motel 2, but it worked, you know. Then you had level 2 here, main nerve center, the control center. This is where we launch and monitor the missile from. Then we had level 3 below us. Level 3, that's the way it was, you know. So when we got a message across here, the launch message was called an emergency action message. When we got that message, whoever was down there, commander or whoever else, or whoever was down here, would grab these books. And there was characters and letters that would come across those messages, which they would fill out in these books. After the message ran the first time, it would say message repeats itself. So you and whoever else was down here would exchange books. They would repeat the message, verify that they had copied down the right thing. They would verify that you did. If you did, then we knew we had a launch message. Now, who could authorize the launch of nuclear weapons? That's right, President of the United States. But we have to verify that message came from him. So we'll talk about that in a second. So that emergency action message would sound something like this. Okay, we weren't worried about the warble tone. That preceded every message that we got at the complex. However, what really got our attention was Alpha 2. Alpha 2 is an actual launch message. So we copied down those characters and letters. When the message repeated itself, we exchanged books, found out we copied down the right thing. So now in line of this emergency action message right here, it started out with a couple of letters, and then there was 5 more there. So those first 2 letters that start out, when we get one of these envelopes out, we'll say in this case it was Edward Hotel. We break that envelope open, and inside of it is a little card. There's 5 more digits on that card. If those 5, all those digits match this line here, we know we have an authentic launch message. So now the commander would tell the deputy crew commander what time to launch the missile at. He or she write that time across the face of the clock so we'd all know what time the missile needs to go. Tell the BMAT what the butterfly lock code was. He or she put that 6-digit code in, flip the lid, push the button, get a green light here. We're ready to go. So what we're going to do here, we're going to do a launch, and what's going to happen is you're going to call for the launch order. It's going to be 3, 2, 1, launch. You're going to put your left hand on the key. The reason why you use your left hand is because you're trained to use your left hand over here. Also, you need to use your left hand so you can monitor the launch sequence lights. So you're going to turn it to the right, push it in, turn it to the right, and hold it there, and I'll count off 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so you ready? Left hand on the key. You call it off.
Launch sequence.
3, 2,
3,
1.
2, 1.
Launch. Push it in, turns to the right, hold it there. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. You got a launch enable light. Good.
Batteries activated.
Yep, I forgot to tell you something. Once you turn that key, there's no going back. We don't have a destructive device on this weapon. The reason why we do that is because if we could destroy it, so could the enemies. No destructive device. Also, it's like firing a weapon. Once you pull the trigger, that bullet leaves the chamber, can't bring it back. So is that cool?
Okay.
Sorry, World War III, right? Wasn't that?
Yep.
Okay, so you get launch enable, get batteries activated. On the missile right now, there's 228-volt batteries. They're getting their first taste of electrolyte in there, getting poured in there. They're getting charged up. We get APS power. They're on their own power. Of the missile, that penetrated the zone, set off our alarm here. Then we get guidance go. Next thing will happen is our butterfly lock valve will open, allowing the fuels to congeal, or what we call hypergolic action. They blow up on contact with each other. When that happens, we get a fire in the launch duct right here. And what do we got right here, Brandy?
Lift off.
Whoa. Do that?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Good. Okay, 58 seconds from the time we launched turn those keys rather. 58 seconds. That Titan II is on its way to Target 2. You don't want to be near Target 2, be totally vaporized. We did all this through. This is missile number N10. It was never used in service. We used it at Shepherd Air Force Base for training purposes only. People took it apart, put it together. There never any fuels in it, so it's all cool for us because you would never be able to clean the fuels out good enough to make it the water injection nozzles. There's 4 of them. Those are the ones that inject the 9,000 gallons of water a minute into the W. This picture right here is a 13-ton steel ring that the missile sets on. We call it a thrust ring. The missile is connected to that thrust ring by 4 explosive bolts. When the missile reaches 70, the engines, the calibration off on this piece of equipment, have to have it come out and recalibrated. Also, at my day, this was a closed room. There was an air conditioning unit mounted up top of here, and if somebody came into that room and they were dumb enough to cross in front of the beam here, that would knock the calibration of that unit off. However, the accuracy of this system and the Universal Space Guidance System was extremely good. We used to test launch missiles from Vandenberg Air Force Base. If we had to fire the missile, first off, remember I told you that air blast valve would close, so the only air we would get to breathe would be the air in the control center, and the engineers determined by the amount of people that were in the control center at the time would determine how much air we had. So if there was just the 4 crew members, that would be cool, but there might be maintenance people out here too. But if they determined that if it was just the 4 crew members, that our air supply would only last about 17 days. Now, down on level 3 was that chow box, our emergency food supply called sea rations. That was a 30-day supply of food. So we had to eat pretty fast, I guess, you know.